Hold on a second, folks. I gotta get me a drink. I'll be right back. Okay, good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. You guys don't get to see me in action too much, but I had to do a video today because I'm trying to get things geared up. First of all, before I get into that, I want to tell everybody thanks for all of your support first, because that's why I'm trying to get things geared up. You guys are stepping up and sharing the information and the contacts and everything, and that's what we need. And it's brought me to a point where I want to get my own Zoom thing going again. Instead of being limited to just 40-minute sessions with 3 to 100 people, I want to be able to get a year subscription. And thanks to people that have been sharing, I've been able to do that. Or at least I've got the funds to do that at the moment. I'm having issues with Zoom to establish the fact that I'm not performing commercially. So in order to get the subscription, I've got to make sure before I enter into it that it's not for goods and services, but actually for private beneficial use. So in that, I got a notice from PayPal yesterday because all of a sudden now they want to say that I have some kind of tax classification that needs to be addressed. So this is what I got as an email on my PayPal account. And it says, action needed. Update your tax ID. Okay. Then it says in the email, and it's got this big block, and you can tell it's PayPal, update your tax ID to confirm. Confirm. Okay, if I'm operating privately already and they want me to confirm, C-O-N means with, firm. So they want me to update your tax ID to with firm your taxpayer info. Okay? And remember, folks, this entire issue that I've been trying to point out in all of these conversions. When you go to court, and I've got documentation that they took that Social Security number and the name and converted it to a firm name and an obligor number by using just the first 4 letters of the last name in all caps and converting the Social Security number, which has 2 hyphens, to an obligor number with 0 hyphens. Okay? Well, now all of a sudden it doesn't want me to change my camera. I think it's because I accidentally slipped off and had to resume. So anyway, we'll keep it this way, I guess. But what I want you people to comprehend is that that's what's happening. On the other end, somebody is converting the information. Okay? And what I found out in my call today, with PayPal is that when you people are sending me donations, and again, thank you kindly. I love it. I appreciate it. It's what's got me going right now. Okay? And what's happening is when you enter that PayPal donation on your end, if you don't use the friends and family link to send the money or to transit through routing the value, then it automatically gets entered into interstate commerce as a business transaction. So please pay attention, folks, when you're making donations or sending money to people. If it's not specifically in an online site and you're just sending them money, make sure it's to friends and family. Otherwise, on PayPal's end, they get a notification from IRS after you get so much money going through that account. It says the IRS let us know that the name and tax ID number listed in your PayPal account doesn't match their records. Doesn't match their records. They're looking for a match. It doesn't exist. And they're telling you this. The IRS requires this info for anyone who receives payments of $600 or more for goods and services. So if you don't put it in as friends and family, then it comes across as a goods and services under 48 CFR 52.212-5. Contract terms and conditions required to implement statutes or executive orders hyphen commercial, and they used to say commercial item. Here this last year, December 19th, they changed it. And it now says hyphen commercial goods or commercial services. Okay? So what they're doing is taking your donation that you intended to donate, but because it doesn't say donation and you just send it off as a transfer, not realizing that there's two ways to enter it. Then it gets entered automatically as business or commerce, goods or services. Okay? So remember, folks, from now on, when you're going to donate to these links, whether it's PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, whatever, they mandatorily have to give you an option because there's two main venues. There's a public venue and a private venue. Pay attention to this video, folks. It all plays together. Please. Now, again, it says receives payments of $600 or more for goods or services. That was not the intent it was sent for, folks. You all agree that when I ask to share some love, I have never offered goods or services. I have offered the information of public domain information and reiterated it, giving my opinions and showing the order of things, and then ask you to politely share everything and hit that PayPal button and share some love. I have never offered goods or services. Okay? So, since you receive payments through PayPal, confirm your taxpayer info by entering your name and tax ID as it appears on your tax return. Folks, I haven't filed taxes in almost 20 years. So where is the tax return? If there's no taxes applicable, are you required to file taxes? No. So in trying to correct this, we had a little discussion today. First, I started out with Rick in billing because I thought that's where I should take care of it. He told me, no, I think you need to go to the limitations department. Here, let me transfer you. Then I spoke to Scott, and I confirmed that it was Scott I was speaking to and that I was transferred to the limitations department, and he said yes. Now, when you listen to that video I posted earlier, come to find out, he's in the fraud department. And then in being in the fraud department, because I told him, once I started speaking to him, and got frustrated, I told him, well, tell you what, Scott, transfer me to your fraud department. He said, this is the fraud department. Oh. Well, let me speak to your supervisor. Can't do that. Can you give me your supervisor's name so I can contact them? My supervisor's name is Courtney. Can I get her email address? Nope. And again, as you listen to the video, he tried telling me it was escalated as high as I could escalate it, and that I had to talk to him, and there was no one else I could talk to. I urge you to watch that video. Because at that point, that's when I told him, oh, so you don't have a lawyer. And then, all of a sudden, now, there's somebody to escalate. Because either you have a lawyer while just doing your job, or you are practicing law without a license and are willing to be afraid of it because you yourself don't know enough about the law that you don't know that there is no such thing as a license to practice law. So let's continue on, because I got his employee number and everything, and we spoke a little further to get some contact information, which he gave me. And then I looked up the SEC filings and found the matching address. And now I have not only the attorney, but all of the administrators and the executive, the principal executive officer. And I have a statement on their SEC filing. This is their information from the SEC filing, Form 10-K. And it says for the transition period. Folks, as I am in development and constructing my private member association, a union based in faith, common amongst all of its members, they too are in transition. And they're trying to say that I have to provide that I am, in fact, organized. Pay attention. Terms and conditions are very important. Commission file number. They are commissioned in a commission log. This is why we talk about the Postal Regulatory Commission, the Military Board of Commissions, and the Civilian Board of Commissions, along with the Postal Board of Contract Appeals, the Armed Services Board of Contract Appeals, and the Civilian Board of Contract Appeals. And notice down below it says PayPal Holdings Incorporated, a holding company doing banking transactions, a bank holding company. In this report, it says our ability to receive the benefit of U.S. merchant finance offerings may be subject to challenge. You're damn right they are. Because when you take the last name and the Social Security number and convert it to a firm name and an obligor number saying that somebody else made an offer to invest in an income scheme, then you are the one that's placing the false claim in, on, and for the record of which I have receipts. And if the commanding officer shall cause receipts to be issued, the spoliated owner may obtain of indemnity. Watch. Merchant loans. Merchant loans under our U.S. policy, working capital. The only way they get working capital is by taking the donation from your end if you don't put it in as friends and family, and they use it as goods and services as a taxing assertion that I made some kind of offer. That I received or accepted your offer for goods and services. It's a two-way street, folks. It's a two-way street. So though you didn't intend to be acting in the performance of goods and services, that's the way it gets interpreted. That stands until it is rebutted by somebody making a challenge. And PayPal business loan products are provided by a state-chartered industrial bank. State-chartered industrial bank under a program agreement with us. And we acquire the receivables generated by those loans. Folks, what are receivables? Is that an obligation? Is that the debt side of the ledger? Think about this stuff, folks. This is right in their 10K filing, folks. All you got to do is pull it up and read the damn things. Generated by those loans. After origination. After origination. In June 2020, largely in response to the Madden versus Midland Funding LLC case decided in U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the Chartered Industrial Bank, is chartered under the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. I keep telling everybody it's an insurance scheme. Approved a final rule clarifying that loans originated by state-chartered, non-member banks remain valid throughout the lifetime of the loan, reflecting a similar rule finalized by the Office of the Comptroller of Currency. In May of 2020, the final rule reaffirms and codifies in regulation the so-called valid when made doctrine. It reaffirms and codifies valid when made. Was Social Security account valid when it was made? Is it valid today? Think about this, folks. Think about it. So, now we have the final rule, which provides that the interest rate for a loan is determined when the loan is made and will not be affected by subsequent events such as sale, assignment, or other transfer. Who is getting the loan, folks? Where is the loan? The loan is the data elements. The people on the other end sending the donation loaned data elements. in those data elements that they loaned, they said they were doing so in commerce, goods and services. If it comes in through family and friends, it cannot be considered as a loan, and therefore it is only a gift, and it transits through the routes from the place of origin, where it was originated, where it was made, to the point of final destination. Okay, let's go on. Because I also have, like I said, I've got the powers of attorney and everything all up here. I also have, what's the difference between a 501c3 and a 508? Because in doing so, I have to prove that I'm accepting everything as a donation and I do things based on charity. So it says here, Section 508 of the Code requires any organization certified, or created after October 9th, 1969. And this is one, that's why I said certified, because I've been concentrating on this part. It was created, it was not certified. No one's ever certified that birth certificate, folks. It was never certified. It was only created. Was it valid when it was made? Was it created in validity and followed up with a certificate? A certifying statement, handwritten, notifying them of the intent. That seeks 501c3 charitable exemption to notify Section 508 of the Code, to notify the Internal Revenue Service and apply to obtain an official recognition, but exempts from the filing requirement those organizations described in Section 508C, not organized, in development stages as a private member association based in union of faith, like I said earlier. In their own code here that I'm speaking about right here, it tells us IRC 508A provides generally that an organization organized after 1969. It's not organized yet. It's created and it's in development. It's growing its organs. It is not yet fully realized. We have a lot of notices to send out so people can see us grow and then hear us roar. Will not be treated as described in IRC 501c3. So there is a distinction unless it gives notice to the service in an appropriate manner. Doesn't say you have to fill out their forms. It says give notice in an appropriate manner. Regulation 501 1.508-1A2I provides in part that this notification requirement is satisfied when an organization seeking exemption under IRC 501c3 files a properly completed and executed Form 1023. See what they did there? That this notification requirement is satisfied when an organization seeking exemption under files a properly completed form. But that's just one manner of doing it. This is the public manner, and you have a private manner of doing so. You can do it through a private notice, and that's what we're going to do. Within 15 months from the end of the month in which it was organized. Again, in which it was organized. Now pay attention, people. Regulation 1.508A-1A2II provides further that an organization will be considered organized on the date it becomes an organization described in Section 501c3. Thereby saying you're required to file because you already filed. You're not organized until you file. Then it becomes organizational matter. The notification requirements set forth in IRC 508A is subject to exceptions, and these are listed in IRC 508C. There is a mandatory exception to notice which is applicable to 1. Churches, their integrated auxiliaries, and conventions or associations of churches, or any organization other than a private foundation that gross receipts of which in each taxable year are not normally more than $5,000. The exceptions in IRC 508C are interpreted and explained by 1.508A13 or 1A3. With this background presented, this topic will explore several issues that have been considered in connection with IRC 508 notice requirements. (26 CFR 1.508-1) Notices. Presumption that old and new organizations are private foundations. The presumption exists that you are private until you start filing. Because once you start filing, then you are entering public documents saying you are public. Presumption that old and new organizations are private foundations. In general, except as provided in subparagraph 7 of this paragraph, any organization, including an organization in existence on October 9th, 1969, which is described in Section 501c3, and which does not notify the commissioner within time and in manner prescribed in subparagraph 2 that it is not a private foundation, not a private organization, will be presumed to be a private foundation. So, by communicating to PayPal as in a debt collection position, they then had PayPal contact me and try to inform me that I need to update. So guess who we update with? PayPal or the IRS? See, the proper thing is to send notice to the IRS that PayPal has made a communication with me in regards to collecting a debt for them. A violation of 15 U.S.C. 1, 15 U.S.C. 3, 15 U.S.C. 1692C, and 15 U.S.C. 1692E. Now, I can let them know I'm aware of Form 14242, which is abusive trust violations. Abusive trust tax schemes. Because that's what they're doing. They're taking a Social Security number that I gave them and saying because somebody else made an entry that is in error, they get to collect on income that I have received, when the record will never reflect that I received income. because I've not filed taxes, showing that I'm subject to income by providing contract terms and conditions to implement their statutes and executive orders for receiving such consumer, for performing in commerce, commercial goods or commercial services. I don't perform that. He's a respecter of no persons. So let's continue on, because that's just my little notice there that I got to write up for IRS. Give them information. And that's the what's the difference. That's that. And this is application for an identity protection personal identification number. Department of Treasury Internal Revenue Service. This is a matter of Homeland Security, and it is a matter of redressing the Social Security number so it cannot be attacked by placing public liability on it. That's what these people out there are doing. Form 15227. Notice there's no OMB number. Comprehend. It's an application for an identity protection personal identification number, and it's not for my person. I'm not the one that has that person. That's their person. That's the number I have to use in order to enter into their commercial system. And in entering that, it has to be dressed in protective arms. Report of foreign banks and financial accounts. Presumption that an old and new organization are private foundations. This is the one I just read to you. These are all the different compliant forms that they give you an option to fill out. Why would you spend your time going through this exhaustive list to pick out which forms you want to fill out? See, they can't tell you you have to fill them out. They have to give you a choice. Well, depends on what your status is. Your and you in their code is a person that owes a debt to the United States. Now, with the name and number used by the state, identify a record, and they're the holder of the record. And PayPal is making an accusation to collect a debt. Why are they contacting me? Why aren't they contacting the United States? See, this is the fallacy of how they operate their system. They let you make the choices, and then the rest of the system operates based on your origination without having any qualifying certifying statement of intent. So unless you hit that friends and family, then the certifying statement of intent exists electronically because that was the choice you made. And vice versa, if you choose family and friends, then that certifying statement of intent still exists in the electronic record because that's the choice you made. So we have to start realizing our choices are based on various elements that have to then be certified. If they're giving you electronic choices and you don't see a choice, then you have to contact them through the mail or by phone. That's how I ended up with Rick and Scott today. Because through the email, they were trying to tell me I have to update my status. So I had to make an electronic record somewhere to let them know that they made a false claim. And that because IRS contacted them, according to their records, again, they're the holder of the record. They're liable. Not you. You're the one that put it into that record, but they're holding that record. They're liable. Not you. All you got to do is let them know, hey, yeah, you are liable. My intent was a donation. My apologies. Please forgive me. I repent. I won't do it again. From now on, I will use the friends and family button. And it's that simple. It really is that simple. So again, I urge you to go back and look at that video I did earlier with my conversation with Scott. I wish I'd have recorded the whole damn thing. In fact, I wish I'd have recorded my conversation with Zoom, because Zoom went so much easier. So, granted, I was on the phone for 23 minutes with this gal, but hey, she comprehended. We were able to communicate with each other, and she was able to transfer and give me the details. This guy said, no, you got to do everything through me. And I know better. I know better. You are not my authority. I do not have to do things through you. Trying to tell me I can't go any further. I can't escalate it any farther. My Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Tell this motherfucker he's a fucking babbling idiot. So again, folks, let me turn the phone around and read the comments. Got a few comments. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome, too. Thanks, Misty. Yes, we are in growth daily. That's what I pointed out earlier about that the SEC filing in transition. Tell me how you're established and organized then if you're in transition. They babble at the security level. You cannot be organized if you're in transition. They do not fit. So again, thanks. Think about this stuff and realize, people, realize with your real eyes, and know in your heart that I love you and I would not be doing this if not for you. I already know this stuff. I know how to do this. It's everybody else that's confused. Have a good day, folks. And fuck them all. Remember, see, when it seems like I'm coming out of my peace, when you watch that video earlier and you see all that passion, I'm in peace. That's how I play, boys. I ain't no tenderfoot. I ain't green behind the ears. And if you want to be a full-grown adult, you better start learning how to adult. Have a good night, everybody.